Good evening, Simon here, Explosive Action. We're going to take a tour of the Mancave for 2021. It's been about a year since I did the last tour. Some things have changed, so let's go take a look. So my Mancave, or the media room if you prefer, is in my garage. That's the only room that we've got. And I've certainly been expanding over the years that we've been in this house to take over as much of this room as I possibly can. We'll take a bit of a walk through now. This is the main entranceway. Over here is all the usual garage things, which are not that exciting, so we won't look at those. But we'll take a bit of a walk through and I'll take a look at each of the sections and call them out. So underneath the Mancave sign we have the entrance, and this is where I keep all of my British comedy TV series. I have that many that I have a dedicated shelf. I love 70s and 80s British sitcoms. And then it turns into sort of Australian sitcoms and a couple of American ones as well. Definitely wanted to have them all together instead of buried in the cupboard where they were, so very happy about that. This little rack here is something that I found on the side of the road. It was a perfectly good size rack for my media books. So yeah, media books and some steel books. And it fits my 7-inch records down the bottom, which is very cool. So yeah, very happy with that little rack. Well, it'll be no surprise to anybody watching this video that my record vinyl LP collection has been growing exponentially in the last couple of years, and that's meant I needed more storage. So only about a week ago I picked up this IKEA set of shelves, not a Kallax, I think it was called an Eket, slightly different series, but this is where I've decided to put original pressings, 80s and early 90s records. All the OG stuff goes down there, but as well as that I wanted to put a favourites original pressings tub that are forward facing. This is something I wanted to do for a long time, so yep, all my favourites, they're all in here. Bit of original Sabbath, Death Angel, Death Row, Hyrax, all of my favourites. Nasty Savage. Oh, that's an awesome record. You get the idea. So all of my favourite original presses, they all live in there. I got the printer for the computer, so I work in this room as well. This is my work from home setup. Also where I do the editing for these videos. So that's the original press records in this little cupboard here. It's kind of where I keep all the cleaning for records and postage stuff for mailing out. DVDs and videotapes that I trade on. This cupboard's had a few purposes over the years. It was formerly known as the video cupboard of doom, but there's less of that in here now these days, except for the very top shelf. Take a look at the top. That's all my Japanese VHS triple stacked. There's a bit of a method to the madness as well, starting off with the Black Cobra films, which I know Extra the Mutilator right now is cursing me for owning that first film on tape. Then we have the Bruno Mattei films, Teddy Page films, and some David Pryor things, and then a whole bunch of other jungle actioners behind that. The next shelf down, at the very back, is the very last of my Australian PAL tapes that are not on the carousel that we'll get to in a minute. And then we had some Simpsons box sets, Futurama, Tales from the Crypt, Monsters, Masters of Horror, and a few other little bits and pieces in there, as well as some horror TV series. They go in here as well, and also another shelf of records with space to move down the bottom. These drawers, which are very hard to open single-handed, but there's a bit of overflow in here. Look, there's an old Bart Simpsons cap. Nothing too... I'm not going to get that close. Nothing too exciting in there, so let's not look at it. And this wall you're probably all mostly familiar with because it's the backdrop to the videos. Is my music station set up with my amplifier and all that kind of stuff, cassette, CD, turntable, and the beginning of the A to Z of the non-first pressing records, so a lot of the reissues, modern albums. Pretty happy with my audio setup. Got a Pioneer PL514X turntable. I think this is from about 1979, 1980. Running a Nagaoka MP110 cartridge, which has got a very nice warm sound. Got a series here of mid-90s Pioneer amplifier, dual cassette, and 3-disc CD on the left, but on the right it's actually got a CD recorder, which is really cool. It can record to CDR media from external inputs. Used that a few times, not as much these days because obviously CD burners and that kind of thing on computers, but anyway, there's a bit of a method to my movie sorting, but it's not perfect. It makes sense to me. Got all the Shout Factory titles at the top, mainly pretty much the things I keep together are generally all the horror. So this is all the sort of horror 88 films / arrange. The Shout Factories, like I mentioned. When they stop being horror, when they're action films, or if they're post-apocalyptic or pure science fiction, for the most part I will move them out into other shelves. I'm trying to break the OCD habit of sequential numbering. These are the Scorpion titles and the Code Red titles, which you notice are alphabetical, not numerical. One of the ways to definitely break that OCD habit. The overflow of my CDs down here, which then leads on to the vertical rack here, of which I got 2. This is the second one. They're on wheels, kind of a pain to get out, but you know, space is a premium in here, and I've had them for a very long time. Quite compact. They store about 550 CDs on each, 3-sided. And yeah, I don't find it too hard to get things out of. Over here, it's got some incoming things. You'll see those in videos at some point. New arrivals. This is where I put the CDs that are sort of not on my usual rotations, sort of the dark ambient and prog rock, goblin, that kind of stuff. Cassette drawers. Big fan of cassettes. Got these drawers, all relatively cheap. Half of them I got for free. Really dig the old sort of like 1984 kind of wood panel design. They don't make them anymore. It's a bit of a shame. Down here I've got a bit of a rack of all my Vinegar Syndrome titles and a couple of Cauldrons. So I'm not a completionist when it comes to VS. I just get the ones I want. VSA on the side. Very happy with the ones I've got there. And over this side we get to see the other CD rack. This is where it goes, starting from A to about L, I think it gets up to. But that's always reducing in terms of what letter it gets up to as the collection expands. It used to go about A to N at one point, but those days are long gone. I got my collection of oversized mugs, which I use for pencil holders and things. A few box sets behind there. Got the 2 of the Dawn of Dead guys there. We got the plaid shirt zombie. We got Flyboy in front of the Dawn box set. What a magnificent box set we finally have there. This shelf here is the second half of my action Blu-rays and DVDs. There is definitely a method to this. The top row there is post-apocalyptic films, then leading on to westerns and some blaxploitation. The second row is the start of A to Z Blu-rays of action films. You'll notice I've started putting in these little dividers. They're not perfect, but I wanted to put something in, at least for the moment. Might put something in a bit more sturdy at some point, but dividing up collections like this is the Andy Sedaris films, David Pryor DVDs, Teddy Page DVDs, then onto War, quite a decent War collection, and then it's A to Z action to the bottom. These tubs down here, one of them's empty. These 2 are my VCDs, which is a reasonable collection of fairly rare Hong Kong VCDs, and they fit nicely underneath this A-frame, so they live down there. And the last box at the end there, I actually put all the Tarantino and a couple of other films in that kind of genre in the corner, because, you know, for me, his films, they sort of straddle all the genres, so I didn't know where to exactly put them, so I thought, oh, chuck them in their own box. Over here, big fan of Doctor Who. I am a huge fan of Doctor Who. That's not Doctor Who at the top, that's my Stargate box set, but everything here is the complete Doctor Who DVD series from the classic era 1963 to 1989. Been getting the new Blu-ray box sets as they come out, and this shelf here is a double-stacked science fiction TV series, and this shelf double-stacked is anime manga, and we've got some books down the bottom. One of my favourite movies is Robo War. I've been about this many times, and that's my Greek framed poster, which I got very cheap. Got that from Greece, and then I reused a frame that I had, which is a really nice glass frame. Happened to fit perfectly. I was very happy about that. Got a bunch of day bills there behind the ladder. The ladder is part of the wall, gets into the manhole up there, which is just SS storage. And this is really the workstation where I do the editing for the videos, do my work from home. A bit of Schwarzenegger there on the background. I need a laugh every now and then. This is my comedy movies, Blu-ray at the top, and then A to Z of comedy movies. I'm pretty picky when it comes to comedy movies. All your usual American ones, you know, your Will Ferrells and all that Rob Schneider rubbish. Oh, it just drives me up the wall. And you couldn't pay me to watch a Jim Carrey movie. This shelf in the middle here has kind of become the home of shot on video horrors, excessively gory films, unearthed films, a few trauma kind of things, full moon pictures, and it's a kind of a mishmash, this shelf. A few collections, you've got all the Complete Massacre editions there, Grindhouse Blu-rays, the Severin with slipcases, Camera Obscura, I'll get that right, I was going to say Cannibal. Some old Synapse DVDs. It's really a mishmash, this shelf. Yeah, but it kind of works in my brain. Old Code Red DVDs at the bottom. This is definitely the most impressive wall. This is pretty much all the other horror that I've got in the collection. Blu-ray and DVD A to Z in horror. Separated some of them by labels. The bottom shelf is mainly classic horror, so Hammer, Amicus, all those kinds of things. The top, we've got a few series that I put horizontally. You know, Complete Tremors over there, Texas Chainsaw Massacre series, all the different Dead films, that kind of thing. Got my Roger Corman Shout Factory features over there, Mondo Macabro. The handful of Shameless that I've still got left, they represent the Shameless titles not on any other format, not on Blu-ray. Some Arrow old school DVDs, Arrow Blu-rays. You can see the plenty of Arrow box sets, and a few Indicator film box sets. I don't go too mad about that label, just the ones I want to get. A few really cool Severin sets, Vinegar Syndrome sets are out of this world. It's the Complete Vestron slipcases, and then, as I said, A to Z, plus a few local labels, Monster, Umbrella, Accent, and then it just goes on down. The ones that are sticking out on their side are just sort of safe space savers, where I put things together that have sequels, so that's, you know, Blair Witch 1 and 2, for example. And yeah, that kind of thing just makes sense to me. Yeah, over here we've got 3 more cassette drawers. Don't need to go into them, you know what a cassette looks like. But down here is a shelf I've just started to put together of more, I guess, popular and bigger horror franchises and collections that are nice shelf-saving sizes. So, you know, Complete Scream, that kind of thing. Complete Underworld, all the Resident Evils in a nice box. You get the idea. It's the place to put the Hollywood horrors, I guess, that are franchised. Makes sense to me. Then down the bottom it starts with, I guess I collectively sort of call it suspense, drama, thriller. You know, regular films. That's where you put things like, you know, Black Swan. Where else would you put it? Apollo 13. It's a movie in space, but it's not a science fiction. You know, drama. That's what all this stuff is. Well, over here is the TV that I watch everything on. You can see I'm at the menu screen of the new Outer Limits Blu-ray box set, working my way through that. This is a great little plasma TV that actually came with the house. Big fan of plasma. It's a 42-inch Panasonic, and has an amazing depth of black. That's why I keep it around. It's so good. Got just a few knickknacks and skulls and things I've had over the years, just sort of presented on the stand there. Got the Evil Dead Army of Darkness Necronomicon books. They're not in great condition. These things were given to me. They were kind of suffered a bit of water damage from the previous owner, but you know, in general they're pretty good, and the price was right, as in they were free. Down here is all my video gear, my Oppo Blu-ray player. Such a shame that they stopped making them. Got a Sony VCD player there on the right, Super Nintendo Mini above it, old school PS2, original Xbox, my Sony VCR, and Pioneer Laserdisc behind it. A couple of weights that I pretend that I try and use with my Video Dead pillow beneath that. Another addition I put together very recently, this mega franchise box set tower, as you can see, which is guarded by Pinhead on top. It was a nice use of space. I definitely play Tetris in this room often. So you've got the Universal horrors up there, Child's Play films, Halloween films, and the Friday the 13th films. Well, behind the TV is, of course, the sofa, the couch, the recliner. This is where I sit and watch everything and try not to fall asleep during some kind of god-awful asylum movie. And behind that is some more films that we're going to get to in a second, but just wanted to point out how glorious my couch is. So this shelf here is the start of action, and it has a few collections and series on the top. You can see some box sets and consolidated series, and when we start with, I basically go by actor in terms of their popularity and their size. So, you know, we start with Schwarzenegger, moves on to Stallone, we go into some Van Damme, goes for quite a bit, the Dolph Lundgrens, goes down, complete Steven Seagal, love a bit of Steve, some Scott Adkins, quite a lot of films from him. And it sort of goes on and down like that, and eventually we start getting into, you know, Gary Daniels, Joe Lara. Rest in peace, Joe Lara. What a sad piece of news that was this week. You know, Frank Zagarinos, and yes, it is kind of annoying that I have to move the couch to get to them, but hey, what are you going to do? And the same can be said for the science fiction shelf. I have to move the couch to get to a lot of these, but we have sort of the franchises and things on top. You know, your Star Wars, Star Trek. Then it moves on to things like Skyline and Lake Placid films. Why not all alien stuff? Then we move on to pretty much and I've done a separate video on this, Sci-Fi Channel films. Everything we're looking at in this shot here is Sci-Fi Channel film, and they're in chronological order. Love my Sci-Fi Channel nonsense. Then it moves into the Asylum movies, which is what Sci-Fi Channel spends most of the time on now. Then it goes sort of A to Z in science fiction, but we do have a couple of little subsections here. I've put together all the dragon films that I've got, sword and sorcery films, a bit of classic science fiction over there, monster films, and then yes, A to Z in Blu-ray and then DVD. Really happy with this little display piece. I forgot that I had for the longest time this Friday the 13th 3D poster. You see there, it's sort of wood and plastic and, you know, multiple layers, makes the poster. It's very, very cool. Got that very cheap from a record store, and I recently picked up the Friday the 13th mug from JB Hi-Fi, and I've got my little Jason there that sits next to it, so I think that's kind of a cool little display. Filled the wall here with a couple of explosive action VHS covers I had spares of, very manly. Speaking of manly, got my Manborg poster up the top. And these sections over here is the signed indicator, my Eastern Eye DVDs and martial arts films. But as well as that, just sort of, this is just the Orient, if you want to use an old term. It's all the Asian films, Japanese, Chinese, Hong Kong, Korean, all kind of get their own sections over here, divided into various subsections. We'll start at the top. Again, we've got, this is the Eastern Eye rack. It's pretty much, I've got a separate video on this, pretty much all the Eastern Eye titles that I'm aware of. There's only a handful I'm missing. Samurai Pirate, You Will Be Mine One Day. And that goes on down. We get to a handful of Tartan Asian Extreme that I've got. The Tomy collection, Art of the Devil, and then it sort of goes A to Z in sort of leftover, mainly Japanese films down the bottom there, and a few other type Asian films. This shelf here is sort of A to Z, kind of roughly in Asian Blu-rays. We've got some martial art type films over there, a couple of Arrow, a few gore films. Then we've got a whole bunch of bring them out, the Well Go series with the really nice slipcases. I do like the Well Go USA titles. I've been getting quite a lot of them. And then yeah, sort of A to Z in Blu-ray. These are all double stacked, which is a little bit annoying, but you know, again, it's what I can do. We've got here the Joy Sales Legendary Collection. There's the front half of them there. Some Eureka Blu-rays, and then more of the legendaries there behind it. Also behind all that is a lot of the Hong Kong Legends, which I've reduced sharply because of duplicates now. I will get to that in a second. Got a few big hard boxes over there. A bunch of Hong Kong DVDs. These are incredibly rare, pretty much all of them. Enjoy collecting a lot of those ones from Universe Laser and from Mia. Some great titles in there, some, as I said, very rare ones. The complete Shaw Brothers from 88 Films on Blu-ray. A lot of the earlier ones are deleted now, I believe. And then it's Shaw Brothers on DVD, that's double stacked behind. You can see the logos poking out. They're all the Celestial titles, mainly from IVL in Hong Kong, and a few from the Taiwan and Thailand variants, but they're all official prints, there's no bootlegs in there. And down here we get, on the front, this is all the Jackie Chan on Blu-ray from mainly Eureka and 88 Films, which is why the Hong Kong Legends DVDs have now more than halved, because so many of them were Jackie Chan films. The same to be said for Jet Li. Quite a lot of Jet Li films in there, which are now upgraded, and some Sammo Hung as well, is why that selection has dropped. Behind here is kind of the overflow A to Z Asian films, mainly martial arts stuff behind. And then down here we've got two shelves of books and magazines with a guardian to protect everything, to protect my Criterions, and a few cheap martial art kung fu compilations behind. On the top here, the Eastern Eye box sets, got quite a lot of the ones that I want. These Godzilla ones were everywhere, and now Eastern Eye have lost the rights. They're going for stupid money, so if you see these anywhere, pick them up, because you won't be able to very long. And these ones I've shown recently, my Kuwasara box sets, very hard to find, but I lucked out on eBay. Now we move on to the VHS carousel. Everybody likes the carousel because it squeaks. This is where I keep my favourite VHS, mainly all Australian tapes. And the top shelf is pretty much, with a few exceptions here, love that squeak. These are all these are all David Pryor films. You can see there. Great stuff. Look at this thing. Rapid fire. So manly. And yeah, there's no real order to them. It's just covers that I like, films that I like, all together in this carousel. And at the bottom here, my tub of PlayStation 2 games. What could be hiding in this basket beneath the remote control but laser discs? Pretty much try and collect just Hong Kong films these days, but I still have quite a few titles that are either not on DVD, like this guy, or were just what I obtained at the time, and there's been no real need to upgrade them. But you know, Street Hunter, not on DVD. Yeah, a bunch of things. Like Thinner, I don't know why I've still got that when there's a DVD around. Proteus now actually has a decent release. But really, well, there you go, The Expert. There's no good DVD of that. Demolitionist, it's in widescreen. But then we get to the fun titles, which are the Hong Kong films. This is The Tough Beauty and the Sloppy Slop. What a great title for a film. And yes, big fan of Hong Kong films on Laserdisc. For me, it's the reason to keep getting Laserdisc, because these films that I'm flipping through here are not on DVD at all. You're not going to find the power connection on a DVD, that's for sure. You're not going to find Angel Terminator 2 on DVD. And Fire Dragon, good luck with that. And below my awesome Wormwood poster we have a couple of big box sets, the Phantasm Sphere, the absolutely gigantic Gamera complete collection from Arrow. Got my Sphinx, I don't know why, but I've still got him around, he's cool. And the Blind Dead coffin box that is yet to be superseded. I don't know what's going on with those films on Blu-ray. Got a couple of signed editions here of some very B-grade films. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the man cave. Well, I hope you enjoyed this very brief tour of my man cave, my media room, my garage, my workspace. I have a lot of fun in this room, and I enjoy bringing the videos to you that I do from this room, including this one. If you enjoyed it, thumbs up please, subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.